What happens when the source itself loses what it was meant to serve? When the very idea of criticism comes to its end, its death, and no longer shows a path forward. This is what we encounter in the critics of modernity. They condemn the modern world, yet fail to offer another version that can be followed. Many throughout history have turned to Eastern Indian traditions, but even their voices did not provide anything better. So how are we to solve the problem of modernity? For me, it is difficult to fully grasp what is meant when the word modernity is used. Is it something tied to the present, or does it refer to the ideas that emerged after the 17th and 18th centuries, as the dictionary definition suggests? Here I want to show how ancient modernity really is, or how old the ideas are that we associate with the modern world. It can be disorienting to realize that many of the concepts we label as modern are, in fact, very ancient. Perhaps it is true, as the ancients used to say, that every civilization must face the challenge of new emergence, whether in material things or in ideas. And it is by the grace of God that certain things endure and succeed, surpassing others to varying degrees. In every age there is also a sense of something lost. Even in the time of Socrates, we find people praising the greatness of Homer's age, yet failing to recognize that true greatness stood before them in their own time. Many thinkers who try to return to spiritualism within Christianity or to similar roots found themselves caught in the peril of losing the very meaning of the words they used. They often referred to things as if they were concrete realities shared by everyone, yet those meanings dissolved in their hands. In response, postmodernism developed its own critique, directed at the false images of reality that, in truth, had no reality at all. Those who turn to Indian traditions inspired by the cycles of reality, beginnings and endings found in ancient Indian religions, often overlooked an important fact. These traditions, though spiritual, do not set the criteria we usually expect. For example, Buddhism is indeed spiritual, and its teachings are deeply so, yet it has no concept of God, and beyond that, it does not even hold the concept of the soul. It is a spirituality that endured as a kind of wisdom of the soul for many saints, including Muslims and Christians, even though its own foundation contains no soul at all. A spirituality without a spirit. Such paradoxes are what we often find among the critics of modernity, who, in one way or another, fasten themselves to Indian traditions or to what they call the East. Finally, there is another group that criticizes what is called modernity. They are mostly inclined toward religious inspiration and are similar to the first group I mentioned, except that they see their religion as the solution to everything. Yet they often forget that religion itself is deeply bound up with modernity, in the sense that it serves the purpose of a community which in theory is united and one, but in reality finds no true place of union. Within such religions, people themselves decide who belongs and who does not, and so it becomes increasingly difficult to arrive at a clear definition of modernity. And if anyone thinks that materialism and the commodification of emotions are new, let them remember the ancient Indian materialist schools. Beyond that, consider Epicureanism, the very tradition inspired by Epicurus, the man who later inspired Karl Marx, whose doctoral thesis engaged with his ideas. And if anyone believes atheism is a product of modernity, let us recall the great Erasmus, whose writings provoked Cicero to argue against him and also in somewhat sense praise his poetry. In the end, I will say this: if there truly is something modern in modernity, though I confess I struggle to fully understand its meaning or its concept as a whole, then perhaps it lies in the beauty of the word itself, the word that has caused many minds to fail, not in criticizing modernity, but in failing to identify the problem they attribute to it. And so I ask, And the question still remains, how old is modernity? Thank you very much for listening, and I hope I made my words clear. And if you have anything, just comment, and thank you so much for